Chapter 17. After their brief visit to Conifer Cliffs, Rennie and Marta Kelly caught the train back to Chicago to gather their families and belongings and relocate to Montana. I wish Polly were with us. She sure made our last trip more fun, Marta reflected as their train chugged east across Minnesota toward Chicago. Yeah, we were lucky to meet her, Rennie agreed. I think you will have fun riding back to Montana with our families. Our little brothers and sisters will all be excited to experience everything along the way. I hope your mom and dad will be excited to start a new life in Montana. I know my mother will be ecstatic to have a change of scenery. Rennie, your ambition has opened up a world of possibilities for us, Marta whispered, her voice filled with gratitude. If it weren't for your dream of a new life in Montana, we might have been trapped in Chicago for generations to come. I'm eager to see what the future holds. This is a big move for all of us. Everyone will have to work hard to make it successful, Rennie replied seriously. But almost anything will be better than living in Packing Town. Just getting away from Chicago is worth all the risk we are taking. Oh yes, replied Marta, and I want to work in the grocery store. Meeting everyone in the area and selling them everything they need will be fun. Can we buy that little house across the street from the store? Rennie thought for a moment and replied, how about making an apartment for us in the big, empty attic above the grocery store? And we can remodel the old meat market into a duplex for your family and mine. Maybe after everything is running smoothly, we can build a nicer house. But for now, we have so many things we need to do with our money. Let's go to the dining car and have a nice dinner. Then maybe we can spend some time together in our private sleeper berth, Rennie winked. I love every minute we spend together. I never dreamed we would be living such a happy life, Marta said with a smile, her sparkling eyes glistening. I can't imagine my life without you, Marta, Rennie replied, rubbing his nose up her cheek. The trip seemed long and boring since they had already seen the sights between Chicago and Conifer Cliffs. Rennie felt helpless, wanting to start projects he needed to finish before snowfall. At the depot in Chicago, Rennie hailed a yellow cab to take them to their apartment. When people say it is good to be home, they must not be coming home to Chicago from Montana, Rennie remarked, fumbling with his keys to open the double-locked door. I don't think anyone even locks their door in Montana, Marta added, checking their mailbox. The next morning, Rennie left to meet with his commodities broker, Cheval Zumber. In his absence, his brokerage account grew conservatively. Cheval believed in following the lead of commercial interests in the markets as a sure way to stay on the right side of the trades he made. And the steady growth of Rennie's account proved this was a good strategy. Rennie wanted Cheval to continue trading his account, and with reliable telegraph and intermittent telephone service, the two would be able to communicate. Throughout the day, Rennie closed his numerous small bank accounts and safe deposit boxes, which were stuffed with cash. At each bank, he converted a limited amount of small bills to larger ones, making it easier to transport money across the country. He gave Marta small bills for travel expenses for the 8 people she would bring to Montana. He advised her to have her father, Connell, carry the money as he could crush the head of anyone who tried to steal it. For 10 days, he condensed his mass of cash to fit into a suitcase with his clothes. He made sure he could drive across the country with just one suitcase, making it easy to take into hotel rooms and keep the money close to him. He also bought a .38 revolver with a shoulder holster, just in case. Marta and her mother, Carota, had not yet convinced her father, Connell, that moving to Montana was the right decision. Connell and Carota were both born to Irish immigrants in Packing Town, and Connell had started dragging hides from the killing floor to the hide house when he was 12 years old. Now, at 46, he had no imagination that there was anything else to do or any place else to be. Marta and Carota tried to convince him to go to Montana. Still, he was skeptical about giving up what he knew, and he could not imagine Rennie, of all people, providing employment security for him or anyone else for that matter. Rennie's mother, Sally, had no thoughts about this new life other than following her son's advice. She had no objections or alternative ideas other than going to Montana. Rennie and Marta gave up their apartment in Chicago and moved into a hotel so Marta could spend time getting everyone ready for the move while Rennie drove west. I should be able to drive to Conifer Cliffs in a week or so. When I have things ready for everyone to land in Conifer Cliffs, I will send you a telegram and have it delivered to your hotel room, Rennie told Marta. I will miss you, honey, Marta declared. For most of my life, I have never spent a week without seeing you. Rennie hugged her. After we all get moved to Montana, it'll be that way again for as long as we live. The next morning, at daylight, Rennie set out motoring westward in his Model T Roadster with a huge basket of food prepared by his mother. He thought that since his car was nearly new, he should be able to travel with few or no problems and drive at least 300 to 400 miles a day. He gassed up 3 times before noon and stopped in Madison, Wisconsin, for his 4th tank of gas. It was after dark when Rennie arrived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He again filled his tank to be ready for the morning, then got a hotel room. He wanted to save money, but he reasoned that a good hotel in a safer part of town held less risk than a cheap one in a more questionable area. He lay on his bed, anxiety keeping him awake for a time. He figured he had driven 400 miles, a good day, with no further thoughts. It was suddenly morning. Rennie jumped up, grabbed his suitcase, ate a quick breakfast in the hotel restaurant, and checked out. Looking at his map, he hoped to reach Fargo, North Dakota, or perhaps a little further. 11 hours later, he was in Fargo, 340 miles from where he had started in the morning. Rennie stayed the night in Fargo, and after another long day's drive, he arrived in Dickinson, North Dakota, wishing he were at his new home in Montana, sleeping with his wife. The next day, as he chugged along, it occurred to him that at the speed of 30 miles an hour, he could count the blades of grass in eastern Montana since there were so few. The evening took him to Lewistown. Just one more day of looking at the hood of my car and counting the deer and antelope, and I will be sleeping in the Conifer Cliffs Hotel, he thought to himself. 24 hours later, Rennie watched the sun set over the Mission Range outside of Conifer Cliffs. He was tired from the long drive, but barely slept, thinking about closing the deal on the grocery store and the slaughterhouse as soon as possible. Early the next morning, Rennie waited on the boardwalk in front of the grocery store when Ted Nelson showed up to open. Are you ready to sell the store this morning? Rennie asked. If you have the money we agreed on, Ted replied, shaking hands with Rennie. I have that and the money to stock the store the way you want to, Rennie said. Let's go to the abstract office and get the deal closed. Let me make a sign to put in the window, telling my customers I'll be late opening today, Ted replied, turning the lock and entering the building. He found a piece of cardboard, scratched out a sign, hung it in the window, pulled the door shut, and locked it behind him. Let's get her done, Ted said, leading the way to the abstract office. After 30 minutes of explaining their deal to Joel Natameyer at the abstract office, Joel said he could have all the documents ready to close by 10 o'clock the next morning. Ted returned to the grocery store. Rennie walked down the street to meet Ed Atchison at the county assessor's office to make an offer for the slaughterhouse. It's 40 acres, and the meat market for Atchison to present to the Meadowlark County Commissioners. Since their regular meeting was only 3 days before, Atchison called a special meeting to be held that evening at Rennie's request as a part of his offer. Rennie left the courthouse and returned to the grocery store. Do you know any good carpenters who aren't busy? He asked Ted. I need to build an apartment in the big attic upstairs. That's a good idea. It's just wasted space now. Norm Bray and Wayne Fenton, the 2 men who built most of the buildings in town, are out of work and are on the verge of starving to death. They have both talked about moving away, but I know they both want to stay here if they can, Ted suggested. Where can I find them? Rennie asked. Can you mind the store for a little while? Maybe I can find them for you, Ted offered. Sure. Does everything have a price marked on it? Rennie asked. I don't know how much to charge if it doesn't. I think everything does. But if something doesn't, look in this notebook. You can figure it out. You need to learn about this store. Don't you remember buying it? Ted laughed. I was kind of hoping to spend some time learning from you instead of having to figure it out for myself. Rennie laughed. Get back as fast as you can. I should be back in 30 minutes, Ted replied, walking out the door. While Rennie waited, he wrote a telegram to Marta. Dear Marta, I am ready for you to come. I have bought the grocery store. The county commissioners are having a special meeting tomorrow night to approve or disapprove my offer to buy the meat market and slaughterhouse. I need everyone's help to get things going. I miss you and love you. Hurry and get here. Rennie heard the bell ring as the big, wood-framed glass door opened. Did you have any customers while I was gone? Ted asked Rennie, returning with a gray-haired stranger. No, you just left a minute ago, Rennie replied. This is Norm Bray, Ted introduced, walking up to the checkout counter. Good to meet you, Norm, Rennie greeted. I understand you're a good carpenter. If you need a reference, I built the building you're standing in, Norm replied with pride. I have a lot of work that needs to be done, Rennie started to explain. I need to make a living quarter upstairs in this building and possibly 2 living quarters in the meat market building. Do you do plumbing and electrical work too? Between my partner Wayne and me, we can do anything that needs to be done, Norm stated. Where's Wayne? Rennie asked. Since he didn't have anything to do today, he got drunk. He's over at Rogers with his head on the ball, Norm said. Show me what you have in mind, and I'll draw up some plans. I'll get Wayne sobered up, and we can get started as soon as we agree on what you want to do. Let's go upstairs and look it over, Rennie said. I would like 1 big bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen. This is a big area. You'll have plenty of space to have a nice living room too, Norm commented, taking some measurements. Let me go home and draw up something that fits in this space. It should only take a couple of hours. Can you meet me back here in, say, 3 hours? Sure, I'll make sure I'm here. Rennie agreed. Okay, I'll go over to Rogers and wake up Wayne. Meet you back here soon. Norm hoofed it to Rogers' barn. Wayne, wake up, old buddy. I got us a job. Norm boomed, shaking him by the shoulder. Wayne slowly opened one eye, and then the other. Work? How in the hell can I work? I can't even walk, he moaned. Come on, I'll take you home, and you can sleep it off. We need to be ready for work in the morning, Norm said firmly, hefting Wayne to his feet. Bertha will kill me if you take me home, Wayne mumbled. You're already dead. Maybe she'll resurrect you if you're lucky, Norm replied, helping Wayne out to the boardwalk and down the street. Bertha, Wayne hollered as Norm tried to settle him into bed. Bertha isn't home, Wayne, Norm said. Where in the hell is she? Wayne grumbled. She died almost a year ago, Wayne. Oh, bullshit. I just saw her down at the bar, Wayne argued. Just go to sleep, and maybe she'll be home soon, Norm said, watching his friend doze off. It only took Norm an hour to sketch a rough plan for the attic conversion, placing a wall above the downstairs plumbing that would become the wall between the bathroom and the kitchen. Other than that wall, everything else is negotiable, he thought to himself, fitting a bedroom-sized template in different positions in his drawing to see where it fit the best. With 3 different options, Norm returned to the store and, with Rennie's help, drew some lines on the attic floor to visualize how his best floor plan would fit the space. When can you start? Rennie asked. Wayne and I will hitch up the wagon and go down to the sawmill in the morning to get the lumber. Can you meet us down there to pay for it? They don't give credit anymore, Norm explained. I'll meet you there at 8 o'clock. We'll have to get the beaver board pipe and wire from Brookston. Do you have a way to haul it? Norm asked. No, I need to buy a truck, but I haven't yet, Rennie replied. Let's work on the framing and all the work you can do with the lumber that you can haul with your buckboard. and I'll figure out how to get the other supplies here when you need them. Thanks for the job, Norm said gratefully. Wayne will be okay if he's working. He lost his wife last year, and with no work, he's been drinking too much. A good job will save his life. Rennie met Dax on the street on his way back to the hotel. I heard there was some Irishman from Chicago who was buying up the town, Dax joked. Only a little part of it, Rennie chuckled. Maybe we should go drink a beer at Rogers and toast your new businesses. Why not? It would be good to take a break. I don't know what's making me more tired, driving across the country or spending all my money, Rennie said. The two drank a few beers and caught up on what was happening. Dax then headed home, and Rennie dined at Dyson's before soaking in a hot bath at the hotel. Finally, he turned in for the night. After helping Wayne and Norm load the lumber the next morning, Rennie walked to the meat market building. He tried to visualize how to remodel it into 2 living quarters. He mulled over ideas while driving to the slaughterhouse, where he also considered how to best organize the operation. Early in the afternoon, he drove back to town, walked to the grocery store to look in on Norm and Wayne, and finally settled in with Ted to learn more about the store. Sorry, I didn't come here earlier, but there is too much going on in my head to concentrate right now. I'm still trying to visualize how everything is going to fit together, Rennie explained. Not knowing how the commissioners' meeting is going to turn out tonight is driving me crazy. Ted chuckled. You're the boss. You can go as crazy as you need to go. I'll be here to help you anytime you're sane enough to do any good. Are you going to the meeting this evening? Rennie asked. Yes, I'll be there. I want to see how it goes. It starts in just 5 hours. Yeah. What can you teach me about the grocery business in 5 hours? Rennie asked. Maybe you could move those 100-pound sacks of flour. Sure. I won't have to use my head for that. Where do you want them? Rennie grinned. Thursday, October 5th, at 7 p.m., the 3 county commissioners assembled for the public meeting. Rennie Kelly's offer was read aloud. That's an awfully low offer, Commissioner Turnbull stated. Are you prepared to up the ante, Mr. Kelly? Commissioner Yates suggested. Not a penny. I don't even want to buy the meat market building. I only made the offer on it to appease Mr. Atchison. I've just bought the grocery store, and I want to run a successful business here. However, if I have to pay too much, then your community will not have a good grocery store or meat market. We would all like this addition to Conifer Cliffs, but I agree your offer is very low, Commissioner Weatherwax interjected. Jim Ballard stood in the audience and addressed the commissioners. Times have been tough around here for too long. We've lost businesses that provide services everyone here needs. We all lose if you try to pinch too much out of this deal. If you don't accept this deal, these properties will remain non-income producing assets of Meadowlark County. We need to sell them and get them back on the tax rolls. Aye, several in the audience sounded. Roger Martin stood. Do you guys want to own a bar? If we can't buy food here, everybody will move away, and my business will fail too. Otto Langford stood next and addressed the commissioners. You need to accept this offer. It's the only right thing to do. The only value in these properties is someone with the ambition to make them valuable, and you don't own this man's ambition. Without him, you have nothing of value unless you value a couple of old empty buildings full of rats and skunks. The commissioners looked at each other. Let's vote, Turnbull ordered. I to accept, nay to reject. Aye, said Yates. Nay, came from Weatherwax. Aye, Turnbull stated, breaking the tie. Your offer has been accepted, Mr. Kelly. I wish you well in your endeavors. I hope you become a benefit to our community. You can close at the abstract office as early as the day after tomorrow. Rennie stood up before the commissioners and nodded his head gratefully. I thank the commissioners for their attention to this matter, and I thank the members of the community for their input. Rennie looked around the room and smiled at everyone. Congratulations, Rennie, Dax exclaimed. I have lots of fat calves to sell you. As the meeting adjourned, Otto Langford bellowed. Guess old Weatherwax doesn't want to get re-elected. Marta spent the last of her Chicago days preparing Rennie's family and hers for their move to Conifer Cliffs. They had few belongings of any value. She took Rennie's 12-year-old sister, Florissa, his 10-year-old brother Billy, her sister Emily, 14, and brother Emil, 16, to buy new clothes and shoes. She moved both her and Rennie's family out of the company houses they had lived in for so long. Kuroda had a tough time convincing Connell to throw away all the ragged clothes he wore on the killing floor. There was no way to get the stink out of them. He finally conceded when Marta said they might throw him off the train if he didn't soak in the tub and get the packing town stench off his body as well. With fresh baths and new clothes, the 8 waved goodbye to Chicago forever and boarded the train bound for Montana. Connell, in his new duds, had hope in his eyes that Marta had never seen before. Nonetheless, Connell was aware of the darker side of life. His grandfather made it to Packingtown and never had the means to go further. The family spent the next 4 days traveling in luxury, pressing their noses against the train windows and seeing sights they had never dreamed of. They ate delicious food they had never eaten before. They were on an adventure that each experienced differently. The timbered country whizzed by the window, displaying moments of its concealed lakes and streams as the train chugged through green pines and yellowing fall leaves. The many dairy farms, red barns, and white houses told them of a clean, wholesome lifestyle. Marta gazed out the train window, reflecting on her family's future. Then she said to the group, "You guys are so lucky. When I came out here the first time, the mosquitoes were so bad in Minnesota and Wisconsin that we couldn't sleep at all. We spent all our waking hours swatting them. They aren't so bad in October." The train chugged through the wetlands of Minnesota, moved through the plains and vast wheat lands of North Dakota, and onto the barren grasslands of eastern Montana. Here, deer, antelope, buffalo, and prairie dogs populated the expansive landscape. Other than friends, no one missed where they had been or what they had left behind. Western Montana's mountainous scenery was a welcome sight after the dry plains of the eastern part of the state. The enormous ranges of mountains hid lush valleys that fed the Missouri and Yellowstone rivers. Rennie was waiting on the depot's platform when his extended family disembarked. His sister, Florissa, ran and jumped into her big brother's arms, followed by their mother. Marta was the last to step off the train, after looking around to ensure the group had gathered all their belongings. They stood in a long line to claim their baggage and boxes. Norm, the carpenter, and his team of Percherons, along with a lumber wagon, and Rennie in his new Model T truck, transported the newcomers the short distance to the hotel. Rennie had reserved 5 rooms, one for himself and Marta, one for his mother, one for Connell and Kuroda, one for the girls, and one for the boys. Rennie figured 5 rooms would cost $10 a day. Feeding 9 people in the cafe every day until the living quarters were finished was going to cost a fortune. He had to get the boys and Connell to work as soon as possible. When everyone was checked into the hotel and settled, Rennie drove Connell out to the abandoned slaughterhouse and showed him around. Other than knives, cleavers, saws, and hogs to eat the guts, it looks like we have everything we need to get started, Connell confirmed, drawing on his years of experience in the Chicago slaughterhouses. "I'll drive you to Brookston to buy what you need as soon as we finish the duplex. I want you to help the carpenters as much as possible to speed up that process," Rennie explained. "It's expensive to put everyone in the hotel and eat in the restaurant. I want to get the living quarters built as soon as possible. All I can do for them is carry lumber and supplies, but Emil can do that. I'd rather gather what we need to start up the slaughterhouse." "We need to bring in some money," Connell replied. "Okay, make a list of everything you need. Tomorrow, I'll get Marta lined out to run the grocery store and Emil lined out to help the carpenters," Rennie said, scratching his head and thinking out a plan. The next day, We'll take Ted to Brookston and bring back a load of groceries and things you need to get started. That evening, the Kellys and O'Malleys sat down at Dyson's for supper. After everyone ordered, Rennie spoke. I have made arrangements here at Dyson's for everyone to charge their meals to me whenever you need to eat. We will eat here until we finish the kitchen in one of the living quarters. To do laundry, take it to the Chinaman across the street. Amel, in the morning, I will introduce you and Billy to the carpenters, and I want you both to help them in any way they ask. Marta, I want you to work in the store tomorrow and learn as much from Ted as you can, so you can take care of it while Ted, Connell, and I drive to Brookton for supplies the day after tomorrow. I want to learn how to work in the store too, Emily interrupted excitedly. Me too, Clarissa joined in. I am sure there are things you can both do to help, Rennie answered. But all of us, including Marta and me, need to know that Ted is the boss. Ted knows the business, and he knows what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Therefore, we all need to follow his guidance and learn from him. Marta nodded her head in agreement and looked at the girls. Are there any tubs available where I can do laundry tonight? Sally asked. We are already out of clean clothes. I can't answer that now, Mom. I'll have to go look, Rennie answered patiently. Don't you have any place where Sally and I can build a fire to cook on and heat water for washing? It would save you a lot of money if we do things for ourselves, commented Kuroda. That's a good idea. Let me sleep on that, Rennie answered. I'll see if Ted has all the things you need for cooking, and what he doesn't have, we can buy in Brookston. We will spend all day tomorrow figuring out what everyone needs. Marta, make a list of all the cooking pots, pans, and utensils you require. Perhaps we could construct a large cookhouse in the meat market building while we finish the duplex. We already have an icebox, so we can buy one of those newfangled electric stoves, build a big table, and we can all eat together until each of our quarters are finished. On the way back to the hotel, they stopped by the meat market building and took a look at the renovation now underway. This is a really big icebox, Rennie said, opening all the doors for the others to look in. There is the electric panel, he said, pointing to a gray metal box on the wall. Norm hasn't run all the electrical wires yet, but this is going to be one of the kitchens. Once he installs the electrical outlet for the stove, we can start cooking here. And there's a big sink to wash the dishes in. He pointed to all the plumbing and the sink. It's right next to where the stove will be. I think we have everything we need, don't we? With an electric stove, we all have more than we ever had before, Sally exclaimed. Yes, we do, Kuroda agreed happily. Okay then, Rennie stated. I'll talk to Norm in the morning and see what he says about the electricity, a little bathroom plumbing, electrical work, beaver board, and doors should only take a few days to complete this one. They migrated back to the hotel, tired from their travels and excited to embrace the new life they could now envision. Rennie and Marta had 2 weeks of pent-up sexual energy they eagerly exploited, after which their bodies melted together in entwined arms and legs. Rennie awoke at 3 a.m. thinking about all the things to be done and in what order. It would be 3 more hours before he could get a cup of coffee at Dyson's. He kissed his wife. She woke up and rocked him back to sleep. Rennie heard a rooster announce it was time to get up. He rose quietly so as not to wake Marta and tiptoed downstairs, where he found Connell sitting in the lobby. Together, they walked the short distance to Dyson's for breakfast. At 7, they visited the meat market building where Norm and Wayne were starting work. I'd better get Amel up so he can get to work, Connell remarked. Yeah, go ahead while I talk to Norm, Rennie replied. Norm, how long will it take to get these digs finished? Just this one side, Norm questioned. Yeah, Rennie nodded. They go together. All the plumbing is intertwined, and electricity is on the same circuits. We need to do them together. The beaver board and the doors are the only things that are independent of each other. We have about another 4 days to finish all the plumbing and electrical for both units, but we still need one kitchen sink, 2 bathroom sinks, 2 bathtubs, 2 kitchen stoves, 2 smaller ice boxes if you want to move this big one over to the grocery store, and 2 toilets to finish. Does Ted want the big ice box at the store? Rennie asked. That's what he told me, Norm replied. News to me, but it makes sense, Rennie said. We can have the beaver board up in 2 weeks. Do you have anybody to paint it before we install the fixtures? Norm asked. Yeah, I think I do, Rennie said. And I have 2 boys. I want you to use them for anything they can do. They can pack the pipe, run the wire, and pack the beaver board. That might cut off some time, but it will take some of my time to show them what to do, Norm explained. Teach them everything you can, Rennie said. You better pick up some paint on your trip to town, Norm suggested. I think I have 3 or 4 loads of stuff to haul in from Brookston, Rennie commented, scratching his chin. Isn't that what you bought your new truck for? Norm said. I guess so, but I wanted to stay home and get some work done, Rennie hesitated. We can't finish anything without the stuff to do it with, Norm stated matter-of-factly. Rennie nodded his head. Okay, something else to figure out. You think you can have both of these places ready to move into in 3 weeks? Probably, Norm guessed. Ted spent the day familiarizing Marta with the store and its accounting system so that she could locate items and process sales. Norm took the 2 boys under his wing and taught them what they needed to know to be useful. Sally and Carota found some old tin tubs out behind the store and washed everyone's laundry. Connell spent the day cleaning up and organizing the slaughterhouse. Everyone had landed in Conifer Cliffs on a dead run. The next morning, Rennie, Ted, and Connell drove the 30 miles to Brookston. Ted drove them around town to familiarize Rennie with the vendors he'd do business with in the future. They first bought the butcher knives, saws, and cleavers for Connell. Rennie ordered all the necessary plumbing fixtures for his project. At the appliance store, they purchased 3 ice boxes and 3 electric stoves for later pickup. The plumbing wholesaler stored Rennie's order in a secure location inside his building, near a large sliding door, where it could be picked up whenever there was room on the truck. They loaded one of the heavy cast iron tubs on the truck and drove on to a supply store that sold paint, wallpaper, and linoleum. After a short time there, Rennie decided to return later with Marta to pick out the colors and patterns she liked. They drove to the grocery wholesaler and purchased canned goods, produce, candy, and miscellaneous items, then returned to the plumbing wholesaler to top off their load. At 5 in the afternoon, the men backed up to the boardwalk in front of the old meat market, now a duplex project, and unloaded the plumbing fixtures, then backed up to the store and unloaded the groceries. The truck was now empty and ready for its next trip to Brookston. Marta planned to go with me to Brookston tomorrow to get another truckload of things. You can pick out wallpaper and paint colors for the apartments, Rennie said. Ted is back to take care of the store. This is all so exciting, Marta hugged her husband. Polly was in today and invited you and me to supper at her house. I accepted her invitation. I hope that was all right, Marta asked. That will be great, honey. What time do we need to be there? Rennie asked. 6:30, Marta answered. We better get going, Rennie exclaimed. Standing in the store with Rennie and Ted, Connell said, Now that I have a slaughterhouse and all the necessary tools, I need something to kill. We still have to purchase some hogs to eat the guts, Rennie reminded him. Maybe you could fix up the hog pens out there so they won't get away. Ted, who has hogs for sale? I think you may have to go to the livestock auction in Brookston. The one we had here is shut down, like everything else. I'll ask around to see if anyone has some hogs for sale. I'll nail up a few signs on the street where people can see them, Ted offered. If we buy hogs, milk cows, and sheep at the Brookston auction, can someone haul them up here to us? Rennie asked. Yeah, a guy named Jim Scoville has a Mack Brothers truck and a stock trailer. He makes his living hauling livestock both to and from the auction yards around the country. Someone else I need to meet, Rennie noted. You guys go ahead. I'll close the store, Ted offered. Thanks, Ted. We're almost late, Rennie concluded, looking again at his watch. A loud knock at the front door announced the arrival of dinner guests. Please come in. I scored a bottle of Irish whiskey from an undisclosed source, Dax invited, opening the door for Marta and Rennie. I could use a snort of that, Rennie declared. I've been busy as hell trying to get everything going around here. I still have at least 4 truckloads of building materials to haul home from Brookston, and I need to attend the auction to buy some hogs. I'm thinking of buying sheep or milk cows to fill the truck. I may need to attend the Friday auction for several weeks in a row to purchase all the necessary stock to get the slaughterhouse up and running. I hope I can buy the beef from you, Dax. Slow down, boy. Let's have a drink, Dax suggested calmly, pouring some whiskey into a snifter. You can use my truck. Samantha can drive it to help you catch up. She drove it to Derby and back the other day. We lost 3 cows and calves about a day's ride from here. When Samantha drove our crew back to their homes, they found all the missing cows and fixed a fence around an old homestead to hold them for a few days. Then Colm rode down and brought them home. Those 2 are really good help. Their brother Quinn is a good kid, but he's a lazy little poop. I'll take you up on that offer to use your truck to catch up a little. Rennie sipped the Irish whiskey. Polly, you should go with us tomorrow. I'm going to pick out colors of paint, wallpaper, some fabric for curtains, and a sewing machine, Marta said excitedly. Oh, what fun, Polly answered. I would love to go. Samantha was coming down here in the morning at about 8 o'clock with the truck to help me in the house. But it's nothing that can't wait. She can drive to Brookston to bring back a load for you. I'll ride with her to keep her company, and I want to look at some of that same kind of stuff too. If Polly goes with you, she may fill up our trucks, and you won't be able to bring anything home for yourself. Dax winked at Rennie. As long as the women are happy, nothing else matters. Rennie laughed with a genuine smile. Polly and Marta set the table, removed a baked chicken from the oven, mashed the potatoes, and then whipped up gravy. Dax poured Rennie and himself another drink. We are restocking the grocery store, and we'll have a lot more to choose from, Rennie said. Are you interested in going to the livestock auction in Brookston on Friday with me, Dax? We will start the slaughterhouse as soon as we get some hogs. Dax checked his calendar. Friday, October 16th, already. Yes, I would like to go.